stats are not everything. Like a 590. Hey you guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Naja, and in case you watched my last video, you may remember me saying that I would make a stats video on how I got into Stanford. So I will be going through my full application. However, a quick disclaimer is that I don't know what exactly got me into Stanford. I don't know what stood out to the readers that made them want me to go there, but I am thankful to have gotten in. So I will go through my full application for you guys. I won't leave anything out, and if you have any other questions about what I sent to Stanford, please leave them down below. So, as you may remember from my last video, I applied with the QuestBridge application to Stanford University in the regular decision round. One important thing to mention about my QuestBridge application is that I had to put in every single test that I have ever taken and the scores I received. So I had to put in all my ACTs, all my SATs, all my SAT 2s, my AP scores, and just any other tests I had taken, and I had to submit that to Stanford, which I personally believed would very much so harm my application because I did horrible on some of these tests. Like, I'm not even exaggerating. Some of the scores were pretty bad, and y'all are probably gonna be like, but luckily they did not hurt my application, and Stanford still accepted me. So stats are not everything, and you will be able to see that from this video. Also, I'm sitting on the floor because if I was sitting in this chair, there would be a shadow bar across my face, and it was not looking good. So until the sun sets a little, I will be sitting on the floor. So first, I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about my school. I attend a public charter school in Atlanta, Georgia with about 90 students in my grade. Well, my school uses a GPA scale of 100, so from 0 to 100, your GPA can fall anywhere in that range, and if you have anything above a 95, that is considered a 4.0. So when I applied to Stanford, I had a 99.6 weighted and a 97.6 unweighted. Now I'm going to go through my GPA for my 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th, and 12th grade year. My GPA increased over time as I was taking harder classes, which showed the application readers that I could handle the rigor of AP courses or dual enrollment courses. Another thing is that my school doesn't offer a ton of AP classes since we are a brand new charter school. There were only a few offered for me to take. I also take dual enrollment. We do not have IB at my school. And remember, my GPA is on a 100-point scale, but I have had nothing but 4.0 unweighted and weighted through my 4 years of high school. Nothing more, nothing less, kind of. In 9th grade, my unweighted GPA was a 98 and my weighted GPA was a 98 because I had taken no AP or honors or any weighted classes in 9th grade. I don't know what I was doing. I think there was only one offered and I just didn't take it, so I don't know, but that was what my GPA was. In 10th grade, my GPA was a 98.25 weighted and a 97 unweighted. I took one AP class in 10th grade. In 11th grade, my GPA jumped up to a 103.375 weighted and a 98.375 unweighted. So I took 4 APs in 11th grade, which allowed me to kind of raise that GPA up a lot. But that was just my term GPA, so my overall GPA was constantly fluctuating throughout my 4 years of high school, but I will give you the one I applied to Stanford with. And then in my 12th grade term 1, which was my midterm transcript, which I submitted to Stanford before I got in, I had a 104.149 weighted and a 97.34 unweighted. So that may have been kind of complicated, but those were my term GPAs at the end of each year. However, my overall GPA that I applied to Stanford with was a 99.6 weighted and a 97.6 unweighted. This did place me in the top 5% of my class. My school does not rank, so I don't know what number I was out of the 90 students that we do have, but I know I was one of the top 5. So now for testing. So I took the ACT twice and I took the SAT twice, and then I also took 2 subject tests, which I had to submit to Stanford because my QuestBridge application required all scores to be sent, but it's fine. So the first time I took the SAT, I received a 650 on English and a 590 on math, which made my composite score a 1240. So that was the first time I took the SAT, and I took that in December of 2017. Then the second time I took the SAT, I raised that score 100 points solely based on the reading section. I got a 750 in the English section and a 590 again in the math section, which made my score a 1340. This is just a big tip to anyone out there who is doubting themselves. If I got into Stanford with a 590 on the math SAT, it clearly shows that stats are not everything. Like a 590. Now on to the ACT. So my ACT was definitely the stronger score. It was the stronger test. I don't know why I preferred the ACT. A lot of people don't, but it's just personal preference. I did better on the ACT, so I like the ACT more. The first time I took an ACT, I got a 32 composite, which was a 36 on English, a 35 on reading, a 30 in science, and a 27 on math. And that was in February of 2018. So the second time I took it was 2 months later. I thought I would score higher by taking it again. However, I didn't prep as well as I did for the first time, so I scored 2 points lower and I received a 30 on the ACT, which was a 36 English, 26 math, 32 reading, and 25 science. I distinctly remember the science being so much harder the second time I took the ACT. I don't know why, but 32 and 30 were the scores that I submitted to Stanford. And then my subject tests. I had initially planned on applying to Georgetown, and they strongly suggested that we submit SAT subject tests. I took 2 and I did pretty bad on them. When you take subject tests, they suggest that you take the AP course prior to taking the subject test. However, I just didn't, and I thought I would be fine because I was already studying for the end of course test that we were taking in school, and I was like, oh, it'll be okay. I'll just take it and probably get a decent score. Like, it can't be horrible. However, I ended up taking the molecular biology test and the US history test, and for molecular biology I scored a 610, and for US history I scored a 600. Now these were both out of 800, so you can see that I was pretty far down the road from a perfect score. It didn't matter as much, luckily, in the end. But I was kind of nervous to put all of my scores on this application because I thought it would hurt me so much. I was obsessed with statistics, and I was scared that since they were so much lower than the average applicant or the average admitted student to Stanford, I had no chance of getting in. However, as you can see, it is a very holistic review of your application, so stats are not everything, like I said. Now, the last scores that I submitted were AP tests. So AP tests are not a huge deal at my school. They encourage us to take them, but they're not like super big thing. I've only taken 3 tests so far, which are the only 3 I submitted to Stanford University. So I took English language and composition and I received a 4, US history and I received a 4, and then world history and I received a 3. Those are the only AP tests I had taken, which makes sense because I took 5 APs and I sat for 3 of the tests because they're expensive and sometimes you just can't take them all. So okay, so the sun finally set a little to where it's not blocking my whole face, so I will be sitting in the chair now. So just like on the common application or the coalition application, there is a section for you to enter awards or honors that you have received since entering high school. Now, I know there's a lot of speculation about what kind of student you have to be to get into Stanford University. You have to have all these national awards, perfect scores, all this volunteer work. However, I had very basic awards. The first 3 honors that I put were highest honor roll, which I got 9th, 10th, and 11th grade, which they give to people who have 4.0 GPAs basically at my school each year at the award ceremony. So I put those 3 first. Then I put Global Navigator Scholar, which basically means I received a full scholarship to go on a study abroad trip to Japan, and I will talk about that later in my extracurriculars. But I received a scholar award for that. I put that as a national award because anyone from all over the world could apply, and I was chosen as one of the people to receive a scholarship. So the next award I put was a Citizenship Award, which was basically just a recognition I received in 9th grade from my school. The next award I received was the Yale Book Award in 11th grade. The Yale Book Award is exactly what the title states. It is a book and a little pamphlet given to you by the faculty and staff at your school. So they usually choose exceptional juniors who stand out in their class and just academically and socially. And then in that same award ceremony, I received the Georgia Certificate of Merit. So like I said before, I attend a public charter school in Georgia. They give out the Georgia Certificate of Merit to the top 5% of juniors in each school. So I, along with 4 other people in my grade, received the Georgia Certificate of Merit. And then the 9th and last award or honor that I put on my application was the AP Scholar Award. So the AP Scholar Award is given to students who receive scores of a 3 or higher on 3 or more AP exams. Now I'm going to get into my extracurricular, volunteer, and personal activity section on my QuestBridge application, which is also on the common application. So one thing I would suggest is if you're in high school right now, please try to get leadership roles in any of the clubs that you participate in, because it shows that you are serious about this activity and you're putting in time and effort into just planning and helping out in any way that you possibly can. So in each of my clubs that I submitted to Stanford, I tried to highlight a leadership role or a role that I had taken or an activity that I had planned. So when you're entering clubs, they ask you to put your position held, the activity. They might ask for a description of involvement, your dates of involvement, grades participated in, and the frequency per week per year. The first activity I participated in was the National Senior Beta Club, and the highest position I held was president. I was president for 2 years. And then I participated in the Beta Club 4 hours per week for 24 weeks per year. And that was just an estimate. I don't know how long I've actually participated in Beta Club, but it's kind of hard to tell an exact number. So that was an estimate of how long I've participated. And I was in Beta Club all 4 years. The next club was the Mu Alpha Theta Math Honor Society, and I was president for 2 years, so 11th and 12th grade. And I participated in the Honor Society 2 hours per week for 20 weeks out of the year. And I have been in this club for 11th and 12th grade. Next club is Ignite Student Council, which is a school-specific club to my charter school. And I was a founder of this club, which helped promote class events and provide assistance for school-wide events and promote school spirit just in my class and around my community, because that's one thing we were lacking. So I was a founding member in 10th grade, a member in 11th, and a representative in 11th and 12th, and this was for about 1 week out of 20 weeks per year. So the next club I put in my application was Bio Buddies, which was a tutoring club that I founded in my senior year that helped pair AP Biology students with regular biology students to tutor them in topics that they struggle with. And I participated in this club for about 1 hour and 15 weeks out of the year. So the next club is Yearbook, and I was a chief editor in 10th and 11th grade and a senior editor in 12th grade, and I participated in this club for about 2 hours a week, 20 weeks per year. So the last club that I put on my application was Girls Varsity Basketball, which the highest position I held was co-captain, and the frequency was 12 hours per week, 13 weeks out of the year. So basketball was probably my most time-consuming club because we had practice every day from 4 to 8. And we played in about 2 to 3 games per week, and I also completed some service events with the team. And this was 9th, 10th, and 11th grade year. So as you can see, there are only 6 clubs listed on my QuestBridge application. I know Common App you can put in 10, but for QuestBridge we only chose 6. And then they asked us what was the most meaningful commitment and why, and I told them about my experience with the National Senior Beta Club and volunteering in the community. So the main part of the QuestBridge application, as well as any other application you are going to submit, is the essay. So QuestBridge had a lot of essays. They had 2 short answers, which were about 200 words or less, 7 very short answers, which were about 35 words or 3 sentences, and then 2 long essays, which were about 800 words, and the other was 500 words. So I'm not going to read my essays in this video. However, if you are interested in seeing what I wrote about, what the prompts were, and how I tackled them, you can comment down below that I can just send you my Google Doc of what I submitted to QuestBridge and to Stanford and all the other schools I applied to. So the other part of my Stanford application was the supplement. Many colleges have you submit an extra essay or 2 just to get more information about you, why you want to go to that school, what interests you, and anything else that they're interested in learning. Now, Stanford had a lot of supplements. It was a long application process on top of QuestBridge with those supplements. It was a lot. So on top of the 11 short answers I had to write for the QuestBridge application, I had to write 11 other Stanford supplements. So the first 7 short answers were a 50-word maximum, so it's really not that bad when you're like looking at it. It's like, okay, this wasn't too bad because there were only 50 words. However, those were like the hardest to write because there's like not that much you can say, but you still want to put down a good answer. Now the next short answer was 150 words or less, and then there were 3 that were 100-word minimum and a 250-word maximum. So if you're interested in getting a head start on any college essays, you can usually find the past year's prompts online. I encourage you guys to go on, look at the prompts, look at how other people wrote it, figure out which way you want to write it, and then tackle your own essay. Now I'm going to talk about what I think stood out to application readers when they were reading my QuestBridge application and my supplements. So for one, it was evident through my QuestBridge application that I was a first-generation underrepresented minority low-income applicant. And then I come from a very small public charter school in Atlanta, Georgia, where I was at the top of my class. And I didn't have the strongest test scores or GPA, but they saw that I had made improvements over my 4 years of high school as I took more rigorous classes. Now, if you guys want me to make a video about the courses I took, going through my transcript and my essays, I can make one of those. Another thing that I think stood out were my teacher recommendations. So I think I had very strong recommendations. I was able to see the recommendation that my counselor submitted for me because QuestBridge shows it to you once you see your application proof. So I was able to see that, and it was a very strong recommendation in my opinion. I don't know how other people's recommendations look, but in my opinion, she spoke very highly of me and pointed out very good qualities about me as a student and as a person in the community. So I think I had very good recommendations, just speaking off of the one that I actually read, and I believe my 2 other teachers that I got to submit recommendations, I think they spoke very highly of me as well, judging from my acceptance into these colleges. So I think my recommendations also helped me out a lot. I believe that I had some kind of theme to my application. I don't think I had a spike that stood out like, oh my gosh, I'm so focused on this, but I do think I had a theme to my application. They could see like what I like to do and what I was passionate about. So in my opinion, the theme of my application was very like community based, because I had a lot of things that on my application that kind of centered around making my community a better place in terms of like starting tutoring clubs, starting school spirit, helping out around the community just in any way I possibly can. So when you guys are accepted into Stanford, and yes, I mean when, not if, your admissions officer will send you a handwritten note highlighting some of the things you wrote about in your application and just welcoming you to the class. I'm not going to read my letter verbatim, but my admissions officer pointed out that I had an impact on my school community through my clubs and that she hopes I'll do the same at Stanford. She also pointed out that my artistic and creative perspective would serve the community well at Stanford, and she told me to bring my lava lamp along because I wrote an essay on a lava lamp. As you can see, I was very truthful throughout my whole application just about who I was and what I had been doing these past 4 years of high school and what I wanted to bring to the Stanford community. Another thing that I will mention is that I submitted a QuestBridge optional update form when I did not match through the QuestBridge process. Basically, this is kind of like a letter of continued interest, or just kind of if you applied early somewhere and you got deferred, they would ask you to send a update form to see if you had any new updates or just any honors, awards, extracurriculars that kind of may have strengthened your application since you first applied. I informed Stanford that I received 2 internship offers from a healthcare company in Georgia, but that I couldn't take, unfortunately, because it was too far away. But I received another internship opportunity where I would be able to observe the day-to-day operational healthcare type business. I also told them that I was a semi-finalist for the Gates Scholarship. Only 300 students receive this scholarship each year, and it is a full ride to any university of your choice. I believe those were the only kind of 3 things that I put onto my optional update form, that I received 2 internship offers and a semi-finalist notification from the Gates Scholarship. If I were to rate my essays, I would say they were a 9 out of 10 because I was so proud of those essays that I submitted. Now I may be like biased because they're my essays. I think I am a strong writer and I'm able to get my point across without telling something. I'm able to show it instead of just like blatantly say it. So I think my essays were very strong, which was helpful because it made up for the weak parts in my application. And then my recommendations, although I didn't get to read each one, I believe my council recommendation was an 8. My other 2 recommendations, I'm just going to say they were a 7 because I don't know how good they were, but they got me in, so I think they did their job. Okay guys, so as you can see, I was not a science Olympiad, Olympic medalist, perfect score, perfect GPA. I was just a hardworking student doing what I wanted in my high school career. So if you guys are kind of doubting yourselves right now, it's okay, that's normal. When I was going through this process, I was very much doubting myself, like, oh my god, all these kids are so qualified to get in and I'm just me. But it is possible to get into Stanford University, even though the acceptance rate is very daunting. Don't worry about it. Just take the chance and apply because you never know. It was a reach school for me. It's a reach school for everybody. Even if you have better stats than me, better extracurriculars, better essays, better anything, there's no guarantee that you will get in. It's all about if the admissions committee thinks you will fit in with the class that they're trying to build for the class of 2023, 2024, and so on. I believe that my personality, my interests, my goals fit into a whole well-rounded class of people that they admitted to the class of 2023. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments or DM me on Instagram or Snapchat. If you're interested in college or lifestyle content, please subscribe to me. I am aiming to create more consistent videos just like the Calf Path or Jazz and Jolage or any other college YouTuber. So if you'd like to see that content, feel free to like, subscribe, comment, follow me on Instagram, and don't be afraid to ask me anything. I will answer any questions you guys have, and I want to help out in any way possible. So thanks again for watching.